What happens in criminal sentencing negotiations? Imagine sitting across from a prosecutor, both of you trying to find a middle ground that benefits everyone involved. That's what criminal sentencing negotiations are all about. They happen after a defendant has been charged and before a trial begins. The goal is to reach an agreement that reduces the risks of a trial and helps the defendant avoid harsher penalties. During these talks, the defense attorney and prosecutor discuss different ways to settle the case. One common approach is charge bargaining. This means the defendant agrees to plead guilty to fewer or less serious charges. For example, instead of facing a charge of armed robbery, the defendant might plead guilty to theft. This often results in lighter penalties on the record. Another key part is sentence bargaining. Here, the defendant agrees to plead guilty to the original or lesser charges in exchange for a specific sentence. This could mean probation instead of jail time or a shorter period of incarceration. For example, instead of 5 years in prison, the defendant might agree to serve 3 years. Count bargaining is also used. This involves dropping some charges in exchange for guilty pleas on others. This reduces the total number of convictions on the defendant's record. For instance, if someone faces multiple charges, some might be dropped if they accept guilt on the remaining ones. Fact bargaining is another option. This involves agreeing on certain facts to be admitted or omitted. This can help avoid harsher charges or penalties based on the case's details. For example, the defendant might admit to being at the scene but not to using a weapon. Throughout these negotiations, the defense lawyer advocates for leniency. They highlight factors like the defendant's background, remorse, or lack of prior convictions. The lawyer's aim is to get the best possible deal that minimizes penalties and future consequences. Most negotiations happen privately, with the defense attorney, prosecutor, and sometimes a judge or court official involved. Once an agreement is reached, the defendant reviews the deal with their lawyer. If they accept, they will formally plead guilty in court, giving up their right to a trial. The judge then reviews the agreement and confirms the sentence before it is officially imposed. From a criminal defense point of view, these negotiations are vital. They help protect the defendant's rights and future by seeking the most favorable outcome. Good negotiation involves understanding the case thoroughly, knowing the sentencing guidelines, and advocating for the defendant's best interests. If the defendant rejects the plea deal, the case moves to trial, where the defense continues to work to defend their client.